There's a language louder than words, a truth that screams in silence. You ever been in a room with someone who smiled with their mouth but cried with their eyes? You ever shake a hand that was firm but feel the tremble underneath? That's not coincidence. That's human instinct speaking to your soul. And the sad truth is, most people never learn to listen to it. We live in a world that's so loud, full of noise, opinions, distractions, yet the realest messages are whispered through posture, silence, hesitation, and unspoken pain. People walk around with wounds they don't talk about, with intentions they won't say aloud. And if you want to protect your peace, if you want to build real relationships, if you want to move like a lion in a world full of snakes, you got to learn the art of reading people without them saying a word. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. This is a gift, sharpened through pain, experience, and observation. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. When you master this art, you stop chasing words and you start understanding truths. And truth never lies. Let's talk about how to sharpen that gift. Let's talk about the art of reading people silently but powerfully. Energy never lies. That's something you come to understand not through books, not through teachings, but through pain, silence, and experience. You walk into a room, and before anyone even speaks, you feel something. The atmosphere shifts. Your body tightens. Your instincts whisper something is off. And the mistake people often make is they override that gut feeling with logic. They convince themselves they're imagining it, being too sensitive or overthinking. But that energy you feel, it's not some random emotion. It's your spirit recognizing a truth your ears haven't heard yet. You don't need to understand everything with words to know what's real. You don't need someone to confess their intentions for you to sense them. That invisible feeling inside your chest is the earliest warning, the earliest sign, and it's time we all start listening to it like it matters. Because it does. People speak with their bodies before they use their voices. They give off vibrations, some comforting, some draining, and some downright dangerous. You ever been around someone and suddenly felt exhausted for no reason? That's not coincidence. That's their energy bleeding into yours. They might be smiling, being polite, even praising you, but behind that is something dark. Resentment, jealousy, competition. Energy doesn't need a microphone, it just needs presence. You can tell who's for you and who's faking it by how your spirit reacts when they walk into the room. It's a wisdom that lives in your skin, not just your mind. We've been taught to ignore that sixth sense, to trust appearances and words more than presence and vibration. But the soul knows better. The soul always knows. The problem is we've grown up in a world that idolizes image. We listen to charming words, confident tones, and well-practiced smiles. We ignore what we feel because we're trained to look for proof. But energy doesn't work on proof, it works on truth. And truth is not always visible. That's why so many people get burned, betrayed, and broken by those they trusted. They had signs, they had feelings, they had that inner nudge, but they silenced it. They gave people the benefit of the doubt instead of honoring their inner knowing. And that mistake comes at a cost. When you suppress your energy radar, you invite chaos. You end up inviting people into your life who say the right things but mean the opposite. And by the time their real intentions show, it's too late. You're already deep in the damage. You ever meet someone and feel completely safe without explanation, like their presence alone was healing? That's energy too. It's not just about spotting the negative. It's about recognizing the ones who carry peace, who bring light. You can't fake that. You can't force that. Some people walk into your life and immediately your walls drop. You don't feel the need to explain yourself, prove yourself, or be on guard. That's what real alignment feels like. That's what real connection is. When the energy fits without having to be explained. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to earn it. That's when you know your soul is finally sitting across from something familiar. Not in words, but in spirit. And when you meet people like that, hold on to them. They are rare. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. That's where the truth lives. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel inspired? Or do you feel confused, small, anxious? Stop brushing that off. Some people don't mean to hurt you, but they haven't healed themselves. And being around them is like standing next to a storm. Their inner chaos spills into your peace. They might not say a thing, but their energy screams. It screams of fear, comparison, control. And if you're not grounded in your own spirit, that energy will consume you. You'll start doubting yourself. You'll start shrinking. That's why energy discernment isn't just a tool, it's a shield. It's how you protect your heart in a world full of emotional noise and invisible battles. You can be in a relationship, a friendship, or a workplace and feel like you're going crazy, not because you're weak, but because you're surrounded by energies that are misaligned with your purpose. And when your soul doesn't match the room, you'll always feel out of place no matter how hard you try to fit in. That tension you carry in your chest, that tightness in your back, that restlessness you feel when certain people are around, that is communication. That is your nervous system trying to protect you. And we need to stop treating it like an overreaction. If someone's energy feels wrong, believe it. You don't need a reason to walk away. Your peace is reason enough. You don't need receipts to distance yourself. The way you feel is the proof. We need to normalize choosing environments, relationships, and conversations that feel safe, not just look safe. There's a difference. A smile can be fake. Kindness can be manipulative. But energy will always tell you the real story. You've got to stop ignoring the way people make your spirit feel just because they didn't do anything wrong. Not doing something wrong doesn't mean they're right for you. Doesn't mean they're good for your growth. Protecting your energy might look like walking away from people who've never hurt you, but never uplifted you either. It might look like distancing yourself from environments that celebrate everyone but feed your doubt. If you want to master the art of reading people, you start with yourself. You train your soul to feel first, think later. And the moment you trust what you feel more than what you hear, you'll never be fooled again. Energy never lies. It's the quietest voice in the room, but the most honest. You can be standing face to face with someone who says all the right things, who looks the part, who wears a perfect mask of confidence and kindness, but deep down you feel something's off. That uneasy pit in your stomach, that pressure behind your eyes, that sudden tension in your chest, that's your spirit whispering, this isn't right. And most people ignore that whisper. They silence it with logic, with politeness, with second guesses. But here's the truth. What you feel in someone's presence is more real than anything they could ever say. People can lie with words, but energy doesn't have the capacity to lie. Energy is raw, it's ancient, it's spiritual. You were born with that radar. That gut instinct wasn't put inside you by accident. It's there to protect you. It knows who's real before they prove it. It knows who's fake before they expose themselves. You don't need confirmation to trust your vibration. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Trust what you feel. Trust what you sense. Because energy tells the truth long before words ever do. You can walk into a room and feel if you're welcome. Before a word is spoken, you can feel who's genuinely glad to see you and who's secretly competing with you. You can sit across from someone and instantly sense their resentment, their envy, their judgment, even when they're smiling. And you can't always explain it, but you know something in their posture, something in their gaze, something in the silence between their words. It sends a message. That's the language of energy. It doesn't care about titles, appearances, or status. It communicates soul to soul, and yet we're conditioned to ignore that. We're taught to give people the benefit of the doubt. We're taught to focus on politeness and not make assumptions. But sometimes your spirit is not making an assumption, it's making an assessment. It's scanning the atmosphere and detecting what your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. That's why so many people end up blindsided. They sensed it, but they didn't honor it. Stop asking for evidence to believe what you feel. You don't owe anyone a reason to trust your own peace. Energy doesn't need a conversation. You can meet someone and immediately feel light around them, like a calm breeze touched your soul. You don't know why, but you feel safe, you feel seen, you feel like you can breathe again. That's energy alignment. That's not something you find every day. And just the same, you can be with someone for years and the energy always feels heavy, like you're walking on eggshells. Like you have to shrink parts of yourself just to keep the peace. That's a sign too. Some people are not evil, they're just unhealed. And their unhealed energy spills into every room they enter. You might not realize it at first, but over time, you'll start carrying weight that's not yours. You'll start losing joy, confidence, clarity, all because you allowed energy that wasn't aligned to stay too long. And it's not just about how people treat you. It's about how they make you feel internally. Do they inspire calm or chaos? Do they raise your frequency or drain your fire? Do you feel safe being fully yourself, or do you have to dilute your light? There's a certain exhaustion that comes from ignoring your intuition. When you pretend not to feel what you feel, your body takes the hit. Your mind gets foggy, your chest gets tight, your spirit gets tired. And for what? To protect someone else's feelings? To maintain a connection that's quietly killing your peace? That's not strength. That's self-abandonment. You don't need to argue with energy. You don't need to rationalize or explain it. If being around someone always makes you question yourself, always leaves you confused, always makes you feel less than, then that's all the confirmation you need. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining things. Your body is responding to an invisible truth. And the moment you start honoring that response, your life will shift. You'll start moving different. You will move toward pedagogy. You will move toward, you'll walk away without guilt. You'll protect your space without needing applause. That's the power of trusting energy. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's clear. The clearer your spirit becomes, the less tolerance you'll have for confusion disguised as connection. Some people carry peace, others carry pain. And if you're not careful, you'll end up wearing energy that doesn't belong to you. You'll wake up heavy, not because of your own struggles, but because you've absorbed someone else's storm. That's why discernment is everything. It's not just about recognizing who they are, it's about recognizing what you feel. The nervousness in your gut, the drain in your energy, the way you have to mentally prepare before seeing them, those are signs. That's spiritual data. Your soul is smart. It knows what your mind tries to deny. That's why you have to stop forcing connections where there is no energetic safety. If someone's energy constantly contradicts their words, believe the energy. People can craft sentences, they can plan apologies, but the energy they emit is the most honest part of them. So listen with your spirit, not just your ears. Feel with your body, not just your brain. That's where the truth is hiding, in plain sight. There are people who have never raised their voice at you, but still made your soul feel violated. There are people who have never cursed your name, but still left your spirit feeling bruised. Why? Because energy is louder than action. It's subtle but powerful. And when you start paying attention, you'll realize that silence holds more truth than speech. You'll see how someone's energy enters a room before they do. You'll notice how some people dim your light without ever saying a word. That's the power of reading people without sound. That's the art of emotional intelligence. It's how you start guarding your soul the way you guard your home. You don't let just anyone walk through your door, right? Then why let just anyone walk through your energy? Protect your atmosphere. If someone constantly makes you feel small, unstable, or invisible, it doesn't matter how kind they act. Something inside them is out of sync with your spirit. Honor that feeling. Walk away if you must, because peace is not a luxury. It's your responsibility. You don't need to wait for someone to hurt you out loud to know they're dangerous to your peace. You don't need to wait for betrayal, for drama, for evidence. You already know, you already feel it. Some things are not meant to be figured out. They're meant to be felt. And the more you sharpen that inner compass, the less time you'll waste with wrong energy. This is your life, your space, your vibration. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. You don't have to justify what you feel. You don't have to prove why someone's energy feels wrong. You just have to trust that your spirit never lies. When your heart races for no reason, when your energy drops after certain conversations, when your joy disappears around certain people, that is not your imagination. That is God's whisper. That is your inner guide saying, this isn't for you. Listen, trust it, move accordingly. Because what you feel is the truth, and the truth, no matter how quiet, always has the final word. Patterns are louder than promises. You can't hide behind sweet words forever. Sooner or later, your actions will expose you. And for those who truly pay attention, the truth is always in the repetition. Anybody can apologize. Anybody can break down in tears and swear they'll never do it again. But that one-time apology means nothing if the behavior stays the same. Real change doesn't come from their mouth. It comes from their pattern. You want to know who someone is? Watch them. Don't ask them. Don't hope. Don't guess. Just watch. Watch how they treat you when you're no longer useful. Watch how they respond when you say no. Watch how they carry themselves when no one's watching. Because character doesn't need an audience. It reveals itself in routine, in consistency, in habits. A pattern is a mirror that reflects a truth people try to cover with charm. Too many people fall in love with potential, with promises, with what could be, instead of accepting what is. You keep forgiving the same mistake because you believe their apology more than you believe their behavior. But actions are data. Actions don't lie. If they keep disrespecting you after they say sorry, that sorry was just a strategy, not sincerity. And we have to stop confusing apologies with accountability. Saying I'm sorry isn't hard. Changing is hard. Growing is hard. Showing up differently is hard. So ask yourself, are you dealing with someone who's changing, or just someone who knows how to say the right things at the right time to keep you stuck? Because patterns will show you. They'll show you everything. You don't even have to ask questions. Just observe. The truth is always in motion. You can't keep ignoring cycles just because you want to believe in someone. That's how you break your own heart. You see the disrespect, you feel the neglect, you hear the excuses, and still you stay. Because they swear they'll be better next time. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, they act right, they play the part, they say the things. But then it starts again. The distance, the silence, the control, the selfishness. It comes right back around like clockwork. That's not change. That's a cycle. That's a blueprint of who they are when they're not pretending. People don't need a second chance to do right by you if they meant it the first time. So when the same behavior keeps coming back around, it's time to stop listening and start believing what you're seeing. The longer you deny it, the deeper you fall into a loop that will only drain you. Some people say all the right things to keep you around, not to keep you respected. They know your heart. They know your forgiveness, and they play on it. They weaponize your compassion. They hurt you, then cry about it, then do it again. And you keep hoping that this time they'll mean it. But patterns don't lie, even when people do. If they really valued you, they wouldn't just say it, they would show it. Not once, not twice, but consistently. Love is not proven through dramatic apologies. It's proven in day-to-day consistency. Respect isn't earned by admitting fault. It's earned by fixing it and keeping it fixed. So take off the blindfold of potential. Stop imagining who they could be and start acknowledging who they've shown you they are. If someone shows you a cycle, believe it. Because every loop is a lesson, and some lessons come wrapped in silence, not storms. You ever wonder why you feel so tired in a relationship where the apologies never stop, but the disrespect never does either? That's the weight of repetition. It wears down your self-worth. It trains you to normalize pain. You start adjusting to mistreatment. You start waiting for the good days instead of demanding consistency. That's what unhealthy patterns do. They confuse your spirit. They exhaust your heart. And yet you keep going because they're trying. But trying isn't enough if the results never change. You deserve more than temporary behavior shifts. You deserve patterns that reflect respect, not just regret. Don't let someone's moment of guilt make you forget the months of emotional absence. Don't let one good week erase a year of inconsistency. Your peace should not be held hostage by someone's inability to grow. It's not about expecting perfection. People are human. They'll make mistakes. But the difference between a mistake and a pattern is intention. When someone messes up, takes full ownership, and actively works to become better, you'll feel the difference. You'll see the effort. You'll experience the change, not just hear about it. But when someone keeps repeating the same actions, making the same excuses, and blaming circumstances instead of taking responsibility, they're not growing. They're just performing. And you have to be strong enough to stop clapping for the performance. You have to stop giving passes to patterns that are killing your joy. Protecting your heart doesn't make you harsh. It makes you wise. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to hurt them. But you do have to outgrow them. Let their patterns be the proof you've been waiting for. Every time you excuse a pattern, you give it permission to repeat. Every time you choose to believe what someone says instead of what they do, you teach them they can keep getting away with it. And eventually they will, not because they're evil, but because you let the pattern become the norm. The way to break free isn't by demanding better apologies, it's by demanding better patterns. Look around you. Who is showing up for you without being asked? Who respects your time, your boundaries, your worth without needing to be reminded? That's who you align with. That's who deserves space in your life. Let the rest go. You don't need to keep explaining yourself to someone who keeps showing you the same hurt in different forms. People will always reveal themselves. You just have to be brave enough to stop rewriting what's already been written in their actions. The truth is in the repetition. Let it speak. Let it guide you. Let it set you free. The truth about people isn't found in what they say, it's revealed in what they do and how they make you feel. Energy never lies, and patterns never fail. When you learn to stop chasing words and start honoring what your spirit already knows, you begin to walk in a power that can't be manipulated. You start recognizing who's meant to be in your life and who's just passing through with a mask and a motive. You stop excusing repeated disrespect, because now you understand that apologies without change are just dressed up distractions. Every emotion you feel around some, silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror they see the monster they've been trying to hide. It's easy for people to justify their wrongs when you're shouting back, because then they can blame you. But when you stand still, silent, calm in the storm, all the ugliness they tried to project onto you comes right back at them, and it haunts them. That's the power you hold when you master the art of silence. Silence is not a weakness, though that's what they want you to believe. They want you loud, emotional, reckless, because that makes it easier to paint you as the problem. That makes it easier for them to turn the tables and point fingers at you. But when you choose silence, when you refuse to let their poison draw out your words, you force them to deal with their own venom. And let me tell you something, they can't handle it. People who hurt others thrive on distraction. They want to focus on your reaction so they can forget their action. They want to make you the villain so they can feel like the victim. But your silence denies them that. Your silence makes them sit in the darkness they created, and in that darkness, the truth echoes louder than any words you could ever speak. They start questioning themselves. They start feeling the sting of their own choices. That is the silent storm you create when you refuse to engage in their games. There's a deep discomfort that comes over someone when they can't provoke you. It's like holding up a mirror that they can't escape. Your silence traps them in a room with their own voice, their own guilt, their own shame. And the longer you stay silent, the louder their inner demons get. They replay every word they said, every dirty look, every betrayal. And suddenly, they're the ones tormented, not you, because you didn't give them your energy. You didn't give them your soul. You kept your power. And oh, how that terrifies them. It terrifies them because they know they can't control what they can't predict. They can't defeat what they can't get to react. Silence is mysterious, it's powerful, it leaves them lost, confused, anxious. They start second-guessing everything they thought they knew about you. And in that confusion, in that fear, they start to crumble under the weight of their own conscience. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to say a word. Just let your silence do the work. People will try to test you, to push your buttons, to drag you into their storm because they don't want to face their own storm. They want to project it onto you. They want you to carry their chaos. But silence says, no, that's yours to deal with. Silence sets a boundary without you ever needing to draw a line. It tells the world, I will not be moved. I will not be broken. I will not give you the reaction you seek. And as they stand there waiting for the explosion that never comes, they start to feel the unease of their own intentions. They realize that they've been exposed, not by your words, but by your lack of them. That's the art, the mastery, letting people reveal themselves without you having to lift a single weapon. Letting them fall on the sword of their own making while you stand tall, unshaken, untouchable. That's the kind of power silence gives you if you learn to wield it with strength and discipline. And let's be honest, silence takes more strength than shouting ever could. It's easy to lash out. It's easy to let your emotions take over in the heat of the moment. But to stay silent, to stand in the face of disrespect, of betrayal, of lies, and say nothing, that takes a level of self-control that most people will never understand. That takes inner power. And that's why they fear it, because your silence shows them that they have no power over you. Your silence shows them that you're stronger than their hate, stronger than their games, stronger than their need to see you fall. And the beauty of it is, your silence leaves no evidence for them to twist, no words to be used against you, no outbursts to point to and say, see, look at them. All they have is their own actions, and in the end, that's what will convict them. Your silence becomes their judge, their jury, and their sentence all in one. So remember this the next time someone tries to drag you down into the mud. Remember this the next time someone tries to bait you, to provoke you, to break your peace. The greatest revenge is no revenge at all. The greatest response is no response. Because when you stay silent, you let the universe, the truth in their own heart, do what no words ever could. You let them feel the full weight of what they've done, and that weight is heavier than anything you could ever throw at them. Let your silence be the storm they never saw coming. Let it be the thing that keeps them up at night, wondering why you didn't fight back, wondering what strength you hold that they could never touch. That's the art, that's the mastery, and when you learn it, no one will ever be able to break you again. When you choose silence, you take back control of the battlefield that most people don't even realize they're standing on. See, in life, everyone's trying to pull you into their drama, their chaos, their noise. They want to make you dance to their tune. They want to see you stumble, to see you trip over your own emotions. But silence puts you back in command. When you don't react, when you don't let them see what's going on inside your mind, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people are powerful people, because no one can outplay someone they can't read. The moment you speak in anger or frustration, you show your hand. You give them a map to your weaknesses. But when you stay silent, when you hold your ground and let them wonder, you take the upper hand. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what your next move will be. And that uncertainty eats at them. It shakes their confidence. Your silence becomes the shield that protects you and the sword that keeps them at a distance. That's the control you gain when you master silence. Control over yourself and control over the game they're trying to play. People who try to manipulate you, who try to push your buttons, they rely on one thing, your reaction. Because your reaction tells them everything they need to know about how to hurt you, how to use you, how to control you. But when you refuse to give them that reaction, when you stay silent in the face of their tactics, they're left blind, and that scares them. Because now they have no idea where to strike. No idea if their words have landed. No idea if they've gotten to you at all. Your silence becomes a wall they can't climb. They'll try harder at first. They'll push more, say more, do more. But when nothing they do moves you, they begin to lose their grip. And that's when the balance of power shifts. That's when they realize they have no hold over you anymore. Your silence is not submission. Your silence is strategy. And when you master it, you hold the strings to the entire show without ever stepping onto the stage. Think about how often people try to draw you into meaningless battles. They throw out insults, they spread lies, they create conflict out of thin air. Why? Because they want your energy, they want your attention, they want your focus off your purpose and onto their foolishness. But when you stay silent, you starve them of what they crave most. You keep your energy for yourself. You keep your attention on what truly matters, and in doing so, you rise above the petty games. You show them and the world that you can't be baited, you can't be distracted, you can't be pulled down into the mud. Silence is how you stay in control of your destiny. While they waste time trying to get under your skin, you're building, you're growing, you're moving forward, and by the time they realize they've failed to drag you into their storm, you'll be too far ahead for them to ever reach again. There's a reason the strongest people in the world are often the quietest in the room, because they understand that real power doesn't need to announce itself. Real power doesn't need to argue, to defend, to explain. Real power moves in silence. And the more you embrace that, the more unstoppable you become. When you choose silence, you train yourself to listen more, observe more, learn more. You see things others miss. You catch the lies, the traps, the tricks, because you're not busy filling the air with words. You're watching. You're waiting. And when the time is right, if you do choose to speak or act, it's with precision, it's with clarity, it's with impact. That's the control silence gives you. It teaches you patience. It teaches you wisdom. It teaches you that sometimes saying nothing is the loudest statement of all. And those who try to manipulate you, They'll feel that silence like a slap they never saw coming. When you stay silent, you also gain control over yourself. You stop letting your emotions lead you into battles that aren't worth fighting. You stop letting your pride push you into proving yourself to people who don't matter. Silence forces you to think before you act, to weigh your choices, to respond instead of react. And that, my friend, is true strength. Because anyone can lash out in the heat of the moment. Anyone can shout back, argue, defend. But it takes a warrior's discipline to hold your tongue, to keep your peace, to let the storm pass while you remain still. That self-control, that's what makes you untouchable. That's what makes you a force that can't be moved. And the people who once thought they could control you will find themselves powerless, defeated, not by your words, but by your refusal to waste them. So understand this. Silence is not about weakness. It's not about fear. It's about power. It's about control. It's about knowing that you don't owe anyone a reaction, a defense, an explanation. It's about choosing when, where, and how to use your voice so that when you do, it matters. Silence keeps them guessing. Silence keeps you focused. Silence keeps the power where it belongs, in your hands. In your hands. And when you master that, when you truly understand the strength of silence, no one will ever be able to pull you into a game you didn't agree to play. You'll walk through this world with a calm they can't shake, with a power they can't touch, and with a control they'll never understand. That's the gift of silence. That's the art you must master. Silence is where true strength is forged. Not in the noise, not in the arguments, not in the shouting matches that people try to pull you into. It's in the quiet. It's in those moments when you choose to hold your peace while the world tries to disturb it. That's where the unshakable inner strength is born. Because when you stay silent, you teach yourself that not every battle deserves your voice. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every challenge deserves your energy. And that lesson, that's what separates the strong from the weak. The weak need to react. The weak need to be heard at every turn, need to prove themselves in every moment. But the strong can sit in silence, knowing who they are, knowing what they stand for, knowing that the storm outside will pass and they'll still be standing. Your silence is your proof that your strength doesn't come from what others think of you, but from what you know about yourself. And when you master that kind of strength, you become untouchable. Because nothing anyone says or does can shake the foundation you've built in the quiet places of your own heart. The world teaches us that strength is loud, that strength is about showing up, speaking out, making sure everyone hears you. But real strength doesn't need an audience. Real strength doesn't need applause. Real strength is when you can sit with your own pain, your own doubts, your own fears, and not let them break you. It's when you can carry your burdens in silence without needing the world to see how heavy they are. That's the kind of strength that can't be faked. That's the kind of strength that lasts. Because silence forces you to face yourself. It forces you to hear your own thoughts, to confront your own weaknesses, to fight your own demons, and win. And when you win those silent battles, when you come out of the quiet stronger than before, no one can take that from you. No one can touch what you've built inside. The world may throw its worst at you, but you'll have a strength that was forged in the silence. And that strength will carry you through anything. There's a kind of discipline that silence teaches you that nothing else can. When you choose silence over speaking, over reacting, over defending, you teach yourself patience. You teach yourself endurance. You learn to sit with discomfort without letting it rule you. And that's the heart of unshakable inner strength. Because life will test you. People will test you. They will try to pull you into fights, into arguments, into drama. They will try to get a piece of your peace. But when you've mastered silence, you won't give it to them. You'll stay rooted. You'll stay calm. You'll let their storms rage around you while you remain unmoved. That's what makes the silence strong. They're not strong because they never feel pain or anger or fear. They're strong because they don't let those things control them. They don't let those things decide their next move. They move on their own terms, in their own time, in their own way. And that's power that no one can take. You see, the person who can stay silent in the face of disrespect, in the face of betrayal, in the face of hate, that person has mastered themselves. And when you've mastered yourself, there's nothing left for the world to use against you. That's what silence gives you. It gives you mastery over your emotions, over your reactions, over your thoughts. And that mastery builds a strength that runs deeper than anything the world can see. Because the world looks for signs of weakness in your words, in your actions, in your reactions. But when you stay silent, when you give them nothing to work with, they find nothing, they see nothing, and that frustrates them, that scares them, because they realize they have no power over you. They realize you've built a fortress inside that they can't breach. And that fortress, that's your unshakable inner strength. That's the reward of mastering the art of silence. The silent man or woman walks through life with a kind of quiet confidence that others can feel, even if they don't understand it. People sense the strength in your silence. They sense that you're not someone they can easily provoke. They sense that you're not someone they can easily control. And that makes them cautious. That makes them think twice before trying to test you. Because your silence speaks of battles already fought and won, of storms already weathered, of scars already healed. It speaks of a strength that doesn't need to prove itself. And that's the greatest kind of strength there is, because it doesn't waver. It doesn't break. It doesn't depend on anything outside of you. It's yours, built in the quiet moments, built when no one was watching, built when the only voice you had to answer to was your own. And that's the kind of strength that lasts a lifetime. So when life comes at you hard, when people try to shake you, when the world tries to pull you into its noise, remember this: your silence is your power. Your silence is where your strength lives. Every time you choose to hold your peace instead of fighting battles that don't matter, you build that strength a little more. Every time you choose to stay calm when others want you to fall apart, you make that strength a little deeper.